So often, we see an election as the finish line, don't we? A final score. But that's not quite right. An election really is a data point. It's a signal coming directly from the people. And what we're going to do here is decode that signal. We're going to look deep into the anatomy of a single mandate in one specific constituency to really understand the mechanics of change, moving way past the headlines to see the systems that are actually at play. And our story is rooted in a real place, the Impur constituency, right in Nagaland. This is a land with proud traditions, with really deep community bonds. The political choices people make here aren't just abstract ideas. No, they're a reflection of the soil itself, of people's livelihoods, of their hopes. This is their story, and the mandate they delivered in 2023. So here's how we're going to walk through this story in 6 clear steps. First, we'll get the lay of the land. Then we'll look at the 2023 verdict itself. We're going to dissect why that shift happened, put it into a much longer historical context, and then we'll shift gears and look forward at a blueprint for regaining trust. And finally, we'll connect it all back to the real purpose of this whole exercise, turning that mandate into good governance. All right, let's start with Section 1, Impur, the lay of the land. You see, politics is never separate from a place. It's born from a community's identity, from its day-to-day challenges, and its deepest hopes. If you want to understand the vote, you absolutely have to understand the voter and the world they live in. Now, the first thing to know about the people of Impur is this. They are deeply, deeply engaged. Look at this number, 91.62%. That was the voter turnout in 2023. I mean, that is an incredibly high figure. It tells you right away, this is not a community that's checked out. No, this is a community that believes its voice matters, and they take their democratic duty very seriously. So the mandate that comes from Impur, well, it's one that's been thought about. So who are the people of Impur? Well, this constituency is a scheduled tribe seat, and it's quite homogeneous demographically. About 94% of the population belongs to the Naga tribe. Now, this is a critical piece of the puzzle. It means that identity, community, and the trust placed in leaders who truly represent the collective Awo interest, these are absolutely crucial in any election here. Okay, let's move on to our second section, and really the main event of our whole analysis, the 2023 verdict. What happened in this election wasn't just a small shift, it was a political earthquake. It completely redrew the map of power in Impur. This slide just lays it all out, the stark difference. Back in 2018, the Naga People's Front, the NPF, they scraped by with a win of just 62 votes. I mean, razor thin. 5 years later, the whole world has changed. The NDPP wins and wins decisively, with a margin of over 1,000 votes. Meanwhile, the NPF, they didn't even contest the seat. The swing is just massive. And this reversal, this is the core puzzle we're here to solve. What on earth could cause such a huge shift in just 5 years? And here's the thing, what happened in Impur wasn't some isolated event. We have to zoom out to the state level to really get it. In 2018, the NPF was a giant in Nagaland's politics, holding 26 seats. By 2023, they had completely collapsed, down to just 2. So that earthquake in Impur, it was the local epicenter of a massive statewide political tide that just washed away an entire party's power. So that brings us right to the core of our analysis, Section 3, the anatomy of the shift. We've seen what happened, now we need to understand why. And we're going to dig into these systemic factors here, not the personalities, because at the end of the day, elections are won and lost on the strength of your systems. What we're really looking at is a convergence of 3 systemic failures, a perfect storm, if you will. First, a sudden and really tragic leadership vacuum after the sitting NPF MLA, Dr. Imtiwapang Iyer, passed away. That created a huge void on the ground. Second, that was made worse by organizational decay. After a whole lot of their leaders defected, the NPF's grassroots machinery just fell apart. And third, into that vacuum stepped a very powerful force, the NDPP-BJP alliance. They ran a disciplined, well-funded campaign that pulled the AO vote together. It was a rudderless ship with a decaying hull, hit by a powerful wave. You know, when a political system breaks down like we've just seen, it's so important to go back to first principles. In any democracy, the way we talk in public, it has to be both informed and responsible. This isn't just about being polite. It's a cornerstone of the dignity that every single citizen is afforded under our constitutional values. When the systems fail, responsible dialogue is the only foundation you can rebuild on. Now, to see how this all fits into a bigger pattern, let's turn to Section 4, a 7-election story. Because the drama of 2023 didn't just happen out of nowhere. To really get what it means, we have to place it in the much longer story of Impur's electoral history. This timeline tells a fascinating story about just how dynamic this constituency is. Just look at the data, going back 3 decades. Impur has always been a tough fight. An INC win by just 21 votes back in 1993. Then you see the INC build up a period of strength only for that to fade, which created the opening for that tiny 62-vote NPF win in 2018. The 2023 verdict isn't some strange outlier, it's just the latest, very decisive chapter in a long story of shifting loyalties. It proves that no party can ever take the people's support for granted here. So, this is where we pivot from looking back to looking forward. Section 5, a blueprint for regaining trust. Because, let's be honest, understanding the past is only useful if it helps you build a better future. This is a framework for any political organization that's lost the people's mandate and is looking for a path back. So let's ask the question directly. What does that path forward actually look like? Well, it's not a path of just making speeches or pointing fingers. It's a path of systematic, on-the-ground action rooted in the real, everyday needs of the people. The path begins right here with listening. This table maps out the core issues for voters in Impur. And look at the intensity. The concern is very high for basic infrastructure. We're talking roads and drainage. Right behind that is healthcare, a lack of doctors, poor facilities. These are not abstract political ideas. This is the fabric of daily life. Any plan for success has to be built on fixing these tangible problems first. And who should carry this new message? Well, the data points to a very specific kind of person, a dynamic AU tribal leader, maybe in their 30s or 40s, with a proven track record, not in politics, but in community service. Someone who can connect with both the young people and the elders. A person who actually lives there, who understands the problems because they live them too. And importantly, a leader who gets how to use modern tools to build a responsive, engaged team. And that brings us to our final and frankly our most important section, Section 6, from mandate to governance. We can never, ever forget why we do all this. Winning an election isn't the prize, it's just the start of the real work. Let's define governance not as some bureaucratic term, but as a moral promise. Governance is the process of making the mandate real. It's the hard, daily work of actually improving people's lives. It's the paved road, the doctor in the clinic, the job for the young person. It is delivering on the promise. And fundamental to that delivery is respect for the citizen. In today's world, respecting a citizen's data is a form of respecting their dignity. Under frameworks like India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act, consent is everything. Information you share for one reason can't just be used for something else without your permission. That principle of consent, it's the digital version of earning a voter's trust. Politics is so often about the next election, but governance is about the next generation. A mandate, then, isn't really a victory, it's a temporary loan of trust from the people. And what you build with that trust is what truly creates a lasting legacy. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-420-41602. Purpose beyond politics.